Now let's get real about Donald Trump. You know what he reminds me of? One of those Russian nesting dolls. You know, a matryoshka doll, layers on layers of lies and pure deceit. This man will lie to your face, then lie about lying, then double down with another lie about lying, and before you know it, he's lied so much you can't keep track. That's his whole deal day in and day out, and that's exactly what he's pulling right now with every move he makes. But listen up, because this ain't just some random hot take from a comedian or a journalist trying to get clicks. Now, the most brutal, gut-punching takedown of Trump's whole facade didn't come from some late-night host or a Democratic opponent. It came from Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, straight out of Texas. And let me tell you, she didn't come to play. She didn't yell, didn't throw cheap insults. No, ma'am. She stepped up on live TV and dropped a bomb, pure facts, sharp insight, and ice-cold truth. This wasn't no angry political rant you'd scroll past on Twitter. This was a straight-up psychological breakdown of who Trump really is. She didn't just expose him. She stripped him bare for the world to see. Jasmine Crockett wasn't there for claps or retweets. She came to shatter the illusion, and boy did she. Within minutes of her speaking out, Trump's online fan club lost their minds. Truth Social lit up like a Christmas tree with folks spitting blind rage. But guess what? The damage was already done. Crockett didn't just go after the man himself. She tore through the myth he's built around himself. And what she laid bare, it's got even Trump's ride-or-die allies shook. 'Cause let's be honest, one thing that's real clear about Trump's inner circle is they ain't loyal to nobody, not even each other, and sometimes not even to Trump himself. I'm not talking about the voters, nah. I mean the folks right next to him, the ones playing gatekeeper to his power. They're just as self-serving as he is, trying to cash and making bank off being close to the guy. It's all a hustle to them. Crockett didn't even blink when she stared into that camera and said what millions of us been whispering behind closed doors. Donald Trump ain't just corrupt, nah. He's straight up unfit to lead, period. With the calm of a surgeon in the operating room, she broke down a man who operates with zero empathy, driven not by any kind of strategy, but by pure spite. She painted a picture of a so-called leader, hooked on power, allergic to remorse, ready to burn down every institution in his way just to get what he wants. This wasn't her throwing shade or spitting opinions. It felt like a clinical diagnosis, and trust me, Jasmine Crockett knows what she's talking about. She ain't some random activist on the sidelines. She's a congresswoman who's been in the trenches fighting for justice, seeing the mess up close. And now she's setting the whole stage ablaze with the truth. Republicans didn't just hear a critique when she spoke. They heard a blaring siren, a warning that the collapse of their whole house of cards has already started. Think about how wild this situation is, y'all. We got a president of the United States who's a convicted criminal indicted on federal charges. And he's out here firing FBI directors for doing their jobs. Why? 'Cause the director greenlit a search based on probable cause, mind you, signed off by a federal judge to find stolen classified documents Trump hid and lied about. And guess what? They found him exactly where the warrant said they'd be. This ain't about policy or politics. It's all about Trump. Sure, he's got the legal power to fire whoever he wants, but let him try and explain this. Let him stand there and admit it's all because he got caught committing a crime, and now he's mad about it. There's a reason Trump flipped his lid after Crockett went on air. For the first time, someone from deep within the political game didn't hold back or play it safe. She ripped into Trump's so-called legacy, not just calling him a narcissist, but exposing the whole machine that props him up. This ain't governance, she said, cool as a cucumber. This is vengeance, plain and simple. And just like that, all of Trump's recent stunts punishing judges, threatening prosecutors, stopped looking like scandals and started looking like symptoms of something way deeper. Crockett connected the dots, showing the pattern, the sickness, the rot at the core. And that's what made her words hit so hard. When you prove someone's chaos ain't random, but a calculated mess, it don't just embarrass them. It strips away the idea that they're in control. And Trump, he's obsessed with control. So when Crockett laid it out like that, you could see him unraveling in real time. Now let's talk about the folks enabling this mess. Crockett didn't hold back there either. She called out the legal world, the big shot law firms so scared of Trump's retaliation that they're tossing their ethics out the window just to keep access to him. Y'all ain't just betraying your profession, she said, voice steady but cutting like a knife. You're betraying your country. That ain't just talk, y'all. That's a straight-up indictment. She knows how that world works, having fought as a lawyer herself before stepping into Congress. She's seen the backroom deals, the compromises, And now she's turning the spotlight right back on him. Her point wasn't just that Trump is dangerous. We already knew that. Her point was scarier. Trump is contagious. His corruption spread like a virus to the legal system, the political arena, even the financial pillars holding this country up. The system ain't just failing, it's surrendering. And then came the moment that shifted the whole convo. Crockett didn't just hit Trump's politics. She went after the performance, the whole act. With a calm that'll give you chills, she reframed Trump's public image, even his marriage to Melania, as nothing but a crumbling stage set. It's all theater, she hinted. The smiles, the photo ops, the holiday hand-holding, it's all fake, curated for the cameras. And just like that, the MAGA illusion cracked wide open. What if the entire Trump brand from his personal life to his media empire ain't real? What if it's just a product he's been selling to a nation desperate for a strongman? Crockett didn't drag Melania or spread gossip. She just dismantled the foundation of Trump's image. And in doing so, she shook the last piece of the fantasy he hadn't already torched himself. Of course Trump couldn't let that slide. His response wasn't clever or calculated. It was raw, almost animalistic. He blew up on Truth Social like a man trapped in a corner, posting like a maniac, lashing out at judges, the media, even his own old buddies. But nothing stuck. Why? Because Crockett didn't deal in drama or outrage. She dealt in clarity. Every unhinged rant from Trump just proved her right. He didn't counter her points, he lived them out for the world to see. And Crockett warned us the closer Trump gets to real legal consequences, the wilder and more dangerous he's going to get. His ego can't handle being exposed. It don't just get bruised, it shatters. And right now, she made it crystal clear, Trump ain't just fighting a courtroom battle. He's fighting a mental breakdown, and we're all watching it unfold live. What got folks the most wasn't just what Crockett said. It was how she said it. No shouting, no low blows, just a steady, almost clinical tone, like a doctor laying out a terminal condition. She called out Trump's willingness to stir up violence, his games with the legal system, the way he uses loyalty like it's pocket change. And while Trump's out there hollering about witch hunts and Marxists, Crockett quietly took him apart like he was a broken toy. This wasn't a debate. It was a funeral for whatever moral credibility he had left. And the longer she talked, the clearer it got. This ain't just about one man. This is about a whole nation waking up to the fact that the emperor's been naked this whole time. She didn't stop there, though. Crockett turned to Trump's leadership record and called it what it is, a trail of wreckage. Sabotaged immigration deals, collapsed bipartisan talks, chaos weaponized for his own gain. None of it's by accident, she said. Trump don't just create messes, he thrives on them. He feeds off the disorder. Systems ain't breaking under him by chance, they're getting burned down on purpose. Why? Because when everything falls apart, Trump can swoop in and play the savior. Crockett painted a picture that'll make your skin crawl, a man who starts the fire, then shows up demanding to drive the fire truck. That ain't commentary. That's exposure. And for any Republican still pretending this is normal politics, her words were a mirror they couldn't look away from. Then she dropped one of the darkest, most viral metaphors I've ever heard on TV. She compared Trump to a kid playing checkers against his own reflection while the rest of the world's playing chess. That image blew up online, and not because it was funny, it was dead-on terrifying. Trump's moves ain't thought out. They're knee-jerk, impulsive, straight-up delusional. Crockett showed us he don't govern, he just reacts. He's bouncing off headlines polls whatever makes him feel big that day. That ain't leadership. That's chaos dressed up as strength. And the scariest part, he's doing it again, another campaign, another legal fight, a whole movement still worshiping him like he's untouchable. Crockett's warning was loud and clear, this ain't over. It's about to get uglier. The Republican Party didn't clap back with fury. They went silent. And Crockett saw that silence for what it is, complicity. She wasn't talking to Democrats. She was talking to the GOP donors, the strategists, the enablers who know Trump's dangerous but stay quiet because he gets some wins. You ain't just backing him, she said, cutting deep. You're building the machine that's going to destroy you too. That hit hard, and it worked. Because for once, the target wasn't just Trump, it was the wall of cowards standing behind him. Her message was simple: history's watching. And when this chapter gets written, it ain't just going to remember Trump's lies. It's going to remember who let him keep lying. And then came her most brutal claim, yet that Trump's mind ain't just flawed, it's done. Fried. She pointed to his recent speeches, rambling about sharks, revenge, fake crowds, and said what nobody else in politics has the guts to say: this ain't strategy, it's mental decline. Suddenly the whole MAGA show started looking like a tantrum in a nursing home. Crockett didn't mock him. She diagnosed him. His need for constant praise, his obsession with enemies, his nonstop lying, it all screams someone spiraling out of control. And if this man still has a shot at controlling the nuclear codes again, we ain't watching a comeback. We're watching a breakdown live and unfiltered. And nobody in the Republican Party seems brave enough to pull the plug. At the end of it all, Crockett left us with one question that hit like a freight train. Is this the man you want your kids to look up to? And in that moment, everything else faded away. The party lines, the legal back and forth, the cable news noise. Because this stopped being about politics. It became about character, about what America's willing to put up with, about when this whole circus finally ends. And for a split second, even Trump's biggest defenders seemed to pause. Not because they disagreed, but because deep down they know she's right. So y'all, we left off with Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett dropping that gut-punching question on live TV, is Donald Trump the kind of man you want your kids looking up to? And let me tell you, that question didn't just hang in the air, it landed like a sledgehammer. Folks at home sitting on their couches, scrolling through their phones, stopped dead in their tracks. It wasn't about red or blue left or right in that moment. It was about something bigger, something deeper. It was about what we're willing to accept as a nation, what we're going to let slide, and what kind of future we're handing down to the next generation. And trust me, even some of Trump's die-hard supporters had to take a hard look in the mirror after that one. Because Jasmine Crockett didn't just call out a politician, she called out a whole mindset, a whole way of thinking that's been festering for way too long. Now let's back up a sec and talk about how we even got here. Because this ain't just some random beef between a congresswoman and a former president. This is the culmination of years of Trump building this larger-than-life persona, this untouchable image, while folks either cheered him on or looked the other way. Remember when he first came down that golden escalator back in 2015, talking about running for president? Half the country laughed, thinking it was a publicity stunt. The other half ate it up, seeing him as some kind of outsider who'd shake up the system. But what Jasmine Crockett did on that TV screen was remind us all that the emperor ain't got no clothes, and he never did. She took us back to the root of it, showing how every scandal, every lie, every outburst wasn't just a one-off. It's been a pattern, a playbook, a way of life for this man. And she ain't letting us forget it. See, what makes Crockett's words hit so hard is that she ain't just throwing darts from the sidelines. She's a fighter, a black woman from Texas, who's been in the trenches first as a lawyer battling for justice in the courtroom, and now as a member of Congress standing up to power every single day. She's seen the system from the inside, seen how it bends for folks like Trump, how it lets them slide when anybody else would have been locked up years ago. So when she speaks, it ain't just theory or guesswork. It's lived experience. It's the kind of truth that cuts through the noise, because she's been there, fought that, and come out the other side with the scars to prove it. And when she looked into that camera and dissected Trump's whole deal, his ego, his spite, his chaos, she wasn't just speaking for herself. She was speaking for every person who's ever felt run over by a system that protects the powerful and forgets the rest. Let's talk about the aftermath, because it was a storm. After Crockett's appearance, social media didn't just buzz, it exploded. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, you name it, folks were sharing clips of her speech faster than you can say viral. Memes popped up everywhere with her calm cutting lines overlaid on pics of Trump looking unhinged. One that stuck with me was her checkers against a mirror metaphor. Someone turned it into a cartoon of Trump sitting at a tiny table playing against himself while the world burns in the background. It was funny, sure, but it was also haunting because it captured exactly what she was getting at. This man ain't playing the same game as the rest of us. He's in his own little world, and we're all paying the price for it. But it wasn't just memes and likes. Real conversations started happening. I got family down in Dallas right near Crockett's district, and my cousin told me her church group spent a whole Sunday talking about what she said. Not about politics, mind you, but about values. About whether they're cool with a leader who acts like Trump does, who lies like it's breathing, who bulldozes anybody in his path. My cousin said even her uncle, who's been rocking a MAGA hat since 2016, got quiet when they brought up that question about kids looking up to him. That's the power of what Crockett did. She didn't just preach to the choir. She got folks who wouldn't normally listen to stop and think, maybe for the first time in years. Now let's flip over to Trump's side of things, because he couldn't stay quiet. Man, he went full meltdown mode on Truth Social posting like his life depended on it. I'm talking dozens of rants in a single day, calling Crockett a loser, attacking judges, dragging the media, even going after his own former allies who didn't clap back hard enough for him. It was like watching a toddler throw a tantrum in the middle of a grocery store, except this toddler's got a platform and a following that hangs on his every word. But here's the thing, none of it landed. Not a single jab stuck. Why? 'Cause Crockett didn't play his game. She didn't stoop to name-calling or petty drama. She came with facts, with logic, with a calm that made his freak-out look even more unhinged by comparison. Every time he posted it just proved her point. He's spiraling, he's desperate, and he's got nothing real to say. And let me tell you, it ain't just Trump who's feeling the heat. Crockett went after the whole ecosystem around him, the GOP bigwigs, the corporate lawyers, the donors who keep this mess going. She called out elite law firms for bending the knee, scared Trump will retaliate if they don't play nice. Y'all are selling out your ethics for a paycheck, she said, and you could feel the disgust in her voice. You're not just hurting your profession, you're hurting America. That hit me hard because I got a buddy who works at one of these firms in D.C. He told me straight up off the record that she's right. His firm's been tiptoeing around Trump's people, taking on shady deals just to stay in the game because they're terrified the government won't approve their clients' mergers if they don't. But like Crockett pointed out, what's the point of saving a deal when the whole economy's tanking under this guy? They're trading their reputation for a quick buck, and in the long run, they're going to lose everything. She didn't stop at the lawyers, though. She turned her sights on the Republican Party itself, the folks who've been riding Trump's coattails for years now. Y'all are leading your party off a cliff, she warned, voice steady but firm. There's no bottom with this man, and you're too scared to say it out loud. She brought up how Trump's got him all shook, even when he's out here distracting from real crises. Think about it. We're in the middle of global tensions with folks like Putin doing God knows what, and Trump's obsessed with himself. He's still crying about losing 2020, trying to dig up dirt on anybody who crosses him while the world's got bigger problems. Crockett laid it bare. This ain't leadership. It's selfishness on steroids. And the GOP's just letting it happen because they're either too scared or too deep in to turn back now. But let's get to the part that really got under people's skin when she talked about Trump's mental state. I know folks get touchy about bringing up mental health, worried it'll stigmatize people or come off as mean. But Crockett wasn't playing that game. She wasn't mocking him for laughs. She was dead serious, pointing out that we're talking about a man who could have control over the second largest nuclear arsenal on the planet. That's not a small thing, y'all. She referenced the diagnostic criteria for stuff like narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder, saying Trump checks every single box like they wrote the book on him. And when you look at his recent behavior, rambling about sharks and Hannibal Lecter, making up stories about fake crowds, it's hard to argue with her. She said his brain ain't just glitching, it's fried. Done. And if that's true, we ain't just watching a political fight. We're watching a full-on breakdown with the highest stakes imaginable.